Alright, let's go. Number 10. Phobos. The smallest and most mysterious of Mars' moons presents a death unlike any other in our solar system. This irregularly shaped satellite, just 17 miles across at its widest point, barely has enough gravity to hold itself together. Stepping onto its dusty cratered surface would feel like landing on a cosmic snowflake, your weight reduced to mere ounces. The terror begins with the realization that Phobos lacks sufficient gravity to hold you firmly. With every movement, you'd risk launching yourself away from its surface. Each step would feel like bouncing in slow motion, but with a deadly consequence: drift too far, and you'd enter the gravitational dance between the moon and Mars itself. What makes death on Phobos uniquely disturbing is its orbital mechanics. This doom-thunted moon circles Mars at just 3,700 miles above the surface, closer than any other moon to its parent planet in our solar system. It's being torn apart by tidal forces, already showing stress fractures across its surface. Scientists have calculated that Phobos spirals inward at about 6.6 feet every 100 years. In 50 million years, it will be gone entirely. Your body, once separated from Phobos, would become caught in this inevitable trajectory. Like the moon itself, you'd begin a gradual descent toward the red planet. For weeks or months, your remains would orbit Mars, joining a macabre collection of dust particles stripped from the dying moon. The final moment would come as you hit Mars's thin atmosphere. Friction would transform your frozen body into a brief, brilliant streak across the Martian sky, a shooting star witnessed by no one. Perhaps future human colonists might look up one night, seeing a flash of light, never knowing they were witnessing your remains completing their journey through the cosmos, one that began with a fatal misstep on a moon already destined for destruction. Number 9. Miranda. Orbiting Uranus at a distance of 80,000 miles is a cosmic Frankenstein's monster. Miranda, just 293 miles across, appears to have been shattered and reassembled multiple times throughout its history. Its surface is a geological nightmare, a patchwork of terrains that seem to belong to entirely different worlds forced together into one chaotic body. Death on Miranda begins with vertigo. The moon features cliff faces that rise 12 miles high, the tallest known cliffs in the solar system. These scarps, called corona, create drops 5 times deeper than the Grand Canyon. A fall here would last over 30 minutes, giving you ample time to contemplate your fate before impact. What makes Miranda particularly terrifying is its fractured nature. The moon's surface bears the evidence of catastrophic impacts that once broke it apart, only for the pieces to reassemble under gravity. This violent history created a gravitational environment that's subtly but fatally unpredictable. Your dismembered remains would follow different trajectories across this broken world. The extreme cold of the Uranian system, with temperatures reaching negative 335 degrees Fahrenheit, would instantly freeze your body, preserving your terrified expression. But unlike other moons, where your corpse might remain intact, Miranda's chaotic gravitational field would pull you apart. Your frozen limbs would separate, each becoming a miniature satellite of this already peculiar moon. Over centuries, your fragmented remains would contribute to the continuing evolution of Miranda's bizarre landscape. Some parts might impact the surface, while others could escape to form a temporary ring around Uranus itself. Your body, like the moon that killed you, would become a scattered collection of pieces, a disjointed memorial in one of the strangest corners of our solar system. Number 8. Earth's moon. Our closest celestial companion harbors a death that is deceptively simple, yet profoundly disturbing. The moon, just 3 days' travel from Earth, offers no atmosphere to shield you from the harsh reality of space. The moment your helmet cracks or your suit tears, the vacuum would attack with merciless efficiency. Your death begins as the air rushes from your lungs with explosive force. Unlike drowning, where water fills the respiratory system, the vacuum of the moon extracts every molecule of air from your body. Your lungs collapse within seconds. Blood begins to boil, not from heat, but from the sudden absence of pressure. The moisture on your tongue and eyes instantly evaporates, leaving them painfully desiccated. What makes lunar death particularly unsettling is what happens after you die. Without bacteria or other decomposers, your body wouldn't decay. The extreme temperature variations, from 250 degrees Fahrenheit in sunlight to negative 208 degrees Fahrenheit in shadow, would alternately bake and freeze your remains with each lunar day. Solar radiation would gradually darken and preserve your skin like leather. The cosmic rays that constantly bombard the lunar surface would penetrate your cells, breaking down DNA and proteins at the molecular level. Yet with no wind or water to erode your remains, your body would persist as a macabre monument. Footprints left by astronauts in 1969 remain pristine after more than 50 years. Your corpse could remain recognizable for thousands. In the airless, unchanging environment of our moon, your remains would become a time capsule, a perfectly preserved horror that could theoretically endure until the sun expands billions of years from now. Future lunar colonists might discover your body, looking almost fresh despite centuries of exposure to the most hostile environment humans can reach without leaving Earth's orbit. What other secrets might our seemingly barren moon preserve for eternity? Number 7. Hyperion. Saturn's sponge-like satellite presents one of the strangest deaths in the solar system. This irregularly shaped moon, spanning about 170 miles across, doesn't resemble any other object orbiting the ringed planet. Its surface is riddled with deep honeycomb-like pits, giving it the appearance of a cosmic pumice stone floating in space. Upon impact with Hyperion, your body wouldn't simply lie on its surface. The moon's density is less than half that of water. It consists of approximately 40% empty space. Your remains would sink into this bizarre structure, gradually being absorbed into the labyrinthine network of chambers that permeate this celestial oddity. What makes death on Hyperion uniquely disturbing is its electrical environment. The moon's porous surface, combined with its chaotic rotation and interaction with Saturn's magnetosphere, creates unusual static electrical conditions. As your body descends into the honeycomb structure, residual electrical charges in your tissues would interact with this environment. In the darkness of Hyperion's depth, your corpse might actually glow with eerie, flickering light, a macabre display of electrical potential illuminating your final resting place. Hyperion's bizarre rotation compounds the strangeness of your fate. Unlike most moons that have predictable orbits, Hyperion tumbles chaotically, never rotating the same way twice. This means the chamber housing your remains would constantly change orientation relative to Saturn and the Sun, creating an ever-shifting pattern of light and darkness in your subterranean tomb. Your body, gradually broken down by the cold and radiation, would become part of Hyperion itself, organic material slowly integrating with the ancient ice and rock. In death, you would contribute to the ongoing mystery of this strange moon, becoming one with a world that even after multiple spacecraft visits, continues to baffle scientists with its unusual properties and origin. Number 6. Iapetus. Saturn's two-faced moon presents a death that is literally divided. This bizarre world, 914 miles in diameter, features one of the most striking visual dichotomies in our solar system. A bright ice-covered hemisphere and a dark, mysterious side that appears to be coated in an unknown material. This perfect division has puzzled astronomers since its discovery by Giovanni Cassini in 1671. Death on Iapetus begins with a choice, or rather, the positioning of your fatal landing. The dark side, known as Cassini Regio, absorbs sunlight and maintains a warm temperature of approximately negative 143 degrees Fahrenheit. The bright side, by contrast, reflects sunlight and plunges to a frigid negative 328 degrees Fahrenheit. Straddling the boundary between these regions would subject your body to one of the most extreme temperature gradients possible on a single celestial object. What makes Iapetus particularly unsettling is the fate of your remains. On the dark hemisphere, your body would slowly bake in the relative warmth, while simultaneously freezing in the vacuum of space. The side exposed to the bright hemisphere would crystallize instantly in the extreme cold. Over time, the mysterious dark material, possibly organic compounds modified by solar radiation, would begin to coat the warmer half of your corpse. The moon's most distinctive feature, an equatorial ridge rising up to 12 miles high, creates a literal wall between its hemispheres. If your body were to land near this geological oddity, it would eventually become part of this structure through the slow migration of ice and dark material that continuously reshapes Iapetus' surface. Your remains would become a perfect mirror of the moon itself, one half preserved in pristine ice, the other transformed by the dark material into something unrecognizable. What cosmic process created the perfect division of Iapetus, and what would it eventually make of your divided remains over the countless millennia of your silent vigil in Saturn's distant orbit? Number 5. Charon. Pluto's massive companion offers a death of perfect preservation. This distant moon, nearly half the size of the dwarf planet it orbits, exists in a realm so cold and alien that conventional understanding of physics seems insufficient. At temperatures approaching negative 390 degrees Fahrenheit, just 80 degrees above absolute zero, Charon represents one of the coldest accessible surfaces in our solar system. Upon exposure to Charon's environment, your body would undergo flash crystallization. Every cell would freeze so rapidly that ice crystals wouldn't have time to form and rupture cell walls, creating a nearly perfect preservation. Your final expression, your last thought, would be recorded in this instant fossilization more perfectly than any mummification process on Earth could achieve. What makes death on Charon uniquely disturbing is the gradual transformation that follows. The moon's surface consists of water ice mixed with exotic frozen gases, nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide, substances that exist as atmospheric gases on Earth. Over centuries, these materials would begin to coat your frozen form, building up in translucent layers that refract light in subtle blue and violet hues. Charon's tidally locked orbit means one side perpetually faces Pluto, while the other stares eternally into the darkness of deep space. Depending on where your body rests, it would either be bathed in the faint light reflected from Pluto or shrouded in permanent darkness, accumulating different combinations of exotic ices that slowly transform your remains into something that increasingly resembles the moon itself. Eventually, your crystallized body would become indistinguishable from Charon's landscape, human tissue and exotic ices merging at the molecular level into a singular entity. Your consciousness, extinguished in an instant, would be succeeded by a memorial of crystalline perfection in one of the most distant, undisturbed corners of our solar system, where your remains might outlast the Earth itself. Number 4. Titan. Saturn's largest moon offers a death that eerily mimics drowning on Earth, but with a profound chemical twist. This orange-hued world is the only moon in our solar system with a thick atmosphere, denser than Earth's and composed primarily of nitrogen, with a complex mixture of hydrocarbons. From orbit, its surface is obscured by a perpetual smog-like haze. Death on Titan begins with a sensation that seems almost familiar. The atmospheric pressure at the surface is 1.45 times that of Earth. You could survive without a pressure suit, but the illusion of habitability ends there. The temperature hovers around negative 290 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold enough to liquefy methane and ethane, which rain from the orange sky and collect in vast lakes across the moon's surface. What makes Titan's death particularly unsettling is the perverse similarity to Earth's processes. If you removed your breathing apparatus, your lungs would fill not with water, but with liquid hydrocarbon. The methane would enter your respiratory system with a sensation oddly reminiscent of inhaling gasoline fumes. Simultaneously, the extreme cold would crystallize your extremities while your core remained barely functional enough to experience the chemical drowning. The hydrocarbon lakes, some larger than North America's Great Lakes, would preserve your body in a way no Earth environment could. The organic compounds would gradually dissolve your skin and soft tissues, incorporating your organic molecules into Titan's complex carbon cycle. Your remains would become part of the chemical reactions that make this moon one of the most Earth-like yet utterly alien environments in our solar system. Scientists speculate that life might exist on Titan. Not water-based life as we know it, but organisms that use liquid methane as a solvent instead of water. If such life exists, your decomposing body could provide a feast of unfamiliar organic compounds. What strange evolution might occur if Earth biochemistry were suddenly introduced to a completely independent chemical ecosystem that has developed in isolation for billions of years? Number 3. Enceladus. Saturn's gleaming white moon presents a death of spectacular dismemberment. This relatively small world, just 310 miles in diameter, appears peaceful from a distance, its surface coated in pristine water ice that reflects almost 99% of the sunlight that hits it. But this serene appearance belies the violent processes occurring beneath. Death on Enceladus would likely come at the southern pole, where massive fissures known as tiger stripes slice across the landscape. These cracks in the icy crust connect to a subsurface ocean hidden below miles of ice. The pressure differential between the ocean and the vacuum of space creates powerful geysers that erupt continuously, shooting plumes of water vapor, ice particles, and salt up to 800 miles per hour. What makes Enceladus particularly horrifying is the fate of your remains. Caught in one of these cryovolcanic eruptions, your body would be instantly shredded by ice crystals moving faster than many bullets. The explosive decompression would separate tissues, cells, and even molecules from one another with violent efficiency. Your atomized remains would be launched hundreds of miles into space, joining the particles that form Saturn's diffuse E-ring. The Cassini spacecraft flew directly through these plumes, detecting complex organic molecules, the building blocks of life as we know it. Your organic matter, dispersed into this mixture, would become part of the material scientists study in their search for extraterrestrial life. The very water molecules that once comprised your body might eventually fall back onto Enceladus, sink through the crust, and join the mysterious subsurface ocean. Your consciousness, extinguished in an instant of explosive dismemberment, would be succeeded by a strange immortality as your constituent atoms circle Saturn for centuries, occasionally catching sunlight as glittering particles in the vast ring system of the gas giant, a memorial more expansive than any human could otherwise achieve. Number 2. Europa. Jupiter's smooth, ice-covered moon presents a death of profound transformation. This gleaming world, slightly smaller than Earth's moon, features the smoothest surface of any known solid object in our solar system. Its pristine exterior, crisscrossed by reddish-brown fractures, conceals what might be the largest ocean in our solar system, a vast liquid water environment hidden beneath the shell of ice. Death on Europa begins with instantaneous flash freezing. The surface temperature hovers around negative 260 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to crystallize your body in seconds. Without a spacesuit, the water in your cells would solidify before you could register pain, preserving your final expression in perfect icy detail. Jupiter's intense radiation belts would simultaneously bombard your frozen form with charged particles, gradually altering the molecular structure of your surface tissues. What makes Europa's death particularly unsettling is what happens next. The ice crust of Europa isn't static, constantly shifting, cracking, and reforming. Over decades or centuries, your frozen remains would gradually sink through the ice shell. This process, known as thermal regression, occurs as warmer ice from below rises while colder surface ice descends. Your body would become part of this vast planetary conveyor belt. The final destination would be Europa's subsurface ocean, a body of liquid water estimated to contain twice the volume of all Earth's oceans combined. Here, in perpetual darkness under miles of ice, your organic compounds would disperse into an alien sea. Scientists believe this ocean may harbor life, possibly clustered around hydrothermal vents similar to those in Earth's deep oceans. If life exists in Europa's hidden depths, your remains might become the first terrestrial biomass to enter this isolated ecosystem. Your molecules, the product of Earth's evolutionary history, would be incorporated to an entirely separate biological narrative that has developed in isolation for billions of years. What strange union of distinct evolutionary paths might result from this cosmic cross-contamination? And what would it mean for the future of life in our solar system? Number 1. Io. Jupiter's hellish innermost moon presents the most horrific death imaginable on any world in our solar system. This tortured satellite, similar in size to Earth's moon, exists in a perpetual state of apocalyptic violence. Caught in a gravitational tug-of-war between Jupiter and the other Galilean moons, Io's interior is constantly squeezed and stretched, generating immense heat that has transformed the moon into the most volcanically active body in the solar system. Death on Io would be a symphony of simultaneous tortures. The surface, coated in sulfur compounds, reaches temperatures of up to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit near its volcanic vents, hot enough to melt many rocks. These temperatures would instantly incinerate any exposed flesh. Simultaneously, the intense radiation from Jupiter's magnetosphere would deliver a lethal dose of 3,600 rem per day, enough to cause immediate radiation sickness and death, even if the heat somehow didn't kill you first. What makes Io uniquely horrific is the electrical component of your demise. The moon is electrically connected to Jupiter through a flux tube, a conduit of plasma carrying an estimated 2 trillion watts of power. This creates intense electrical currents that flow across the moon's surface. Your body would become part of this circuit, experiencing voltages sufficient to instantly stop your heart and cook your tissues from within. The volcanic activity ensures no dignified rest for your remains. Io's largest volcano, Loki, regularly spews material 300 miles above the surface. Your carbonized body would likely be incorporated into the next eruption, joining the ton of material Io loses every second to Jupiter's magnetic field. Your fundamental particles would become part of the plasma torus that surrounds Jupiter, a ring of electrically charged gas visible only to specialized instruments. In the most violent corner of the inner solar system, your existence would end in a perfect fusion of extremes, simultaneously melted, irradiated, and electrocuted before being launched into space as component atoms. Perhaps this is the ultimate cosmic truth, that even in death we remain subject to the fundamental forces that shape the universe, our physical forms merely temporary arrangements in an endless cycle of cosmic violence and creation. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe. Number 10.